Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the trade report video for the week of April 23rd, 2017. So, I just want to say up front here that the market remains still very choppy and kind of trendless at the moment. So, if you're having a difficult time with swing trading, you're not alone. The market is not conducive to that, and I've tried a couple of times on some trades, and it's just difficult. The market, if we take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial here, we can see that we're just kind of in this sideways to down choppy pattern. Couple of key areas here on the Dow Jones ETF. This 204 area was a low put in about a month ago, and then kind of bounced, tested that low again, and so it held that low for now. But you know, basically a lot of the trades are day trade type situations where they just don't hold their gains, and if you don't lock in your gains by the on the pop, then it ends up going against you. So that's just the market we're in, and we don't know at this point, you know, what the market is going to do. It still just remains in kind of a choppy sideways trend. So Thursday was some pretty good action, and it looked like there was some sustainable upside momentum, and then Friday was kind of a rest day. So we'll see what happens, but it's still very cautious at the moment. There's some strength in certain sectors, but in general, it's still a pretty difficult market right now. So what we'd like to see for the Dow and the other sectors or the other indexes is that we'd like to see the Dow kind of back above the 50-day and put in a higher high. So if it could break above, you know, this recent high right in this 207, 208 area, that'd be a good thing to see. And then on the bearish side, if we broke down below 204, which was the recent low, that would be confirmation of more downside in the market. So SPY, basically similar story. You had the low here at 232, it kind of bounced up here to some resistance right around the 236, pulled back, and it held that low, which is good, but now we just want to see if this can actually break above this 236 area, and you know, we can hopefully start a new up leg and get back above the 50-day, but at this point it's still in a trendless sideways overall market. Small cap IWM, Russell 2000, held this 134 area, which is a key support. It goes back. So right in here, you can see where it tested it, kind of held that. So it held that range low, and the next resistance is right up here at 138, and then the 140 area. So once again, you can see here, just sideways, right? So we need, you know, until we break out of this range, either to the upside or downside, we don't know at this point what the market's going to do, but if it could break out to the upside through 138, that would be good, and then next spot would be 140. So the biotech index, the IBB, so it's sitting right here at a key area, which is like 285, 286. You can see that was a resistance back in January of this year, and it broke through that, and it held as support back in February, or late February. Had a bounce, tested it again, and now we're just hanging right above that area right now. So almost looks like a bear flag actually on the IBB, but at this point it's just sideways. So if it were to break down below this say 285 area, that would be a bearish sign, because this is a key support area that it's sitting at right now. So it kind of needs to hold that area. But it does kind of appear that it's forming a bear flag, but we'll just have to see. It's just sideways at the moment. All right, so the home builders, the sector's been pretty strong lately. The Lennar Homes, D.R. Horton, and some other names, as well as the basic building material sector. You can see that this is the XHB, the home builder ETF, sitting right below the highs here. Maybe this one can actually break out and you know, make some new highs, but I think let's see, D.R. Horton had a decent move, although it pulled back. Lennar still looks pretty good. So overall, I mean, overall those home builder stocks, the basic materials, like BLD. See, this one actually broke out. I didn't trade this one. It was on my, I was watching this one, but see, kind of this consolidation here, and then through 48 was a key area, and had some big volume break there, and the continuation. So this was actually a really nice setup. I just took my eyes off it, but this sector, this basic building material sector, has kind of been like, has been pretty strong. I think CAA is another one. This one had a breakout and then kind of pulled back. But overall, if you look at the longer term charts, those charts look pretty good. So sector to keep an eye on going forward. Okay, let's take a look at some of the names from last week's watch list and how they played out. So RARX is kind of an illiquid biotech, and kind of like this consolidation here. It looked good on this 2240 area break. It had a good break, and now it's pulling back. So kind of a support area here at 2240. Could find some support and perk higher. It's kind of a slow mover, and it kind of has low volume. So I haven't really been keeping a close eye on it. Although I did like the pattern, but you know, overall it looks pretty bullish here. This RARX, one to keep an eye on, I think. HRTX is a biotech. Had a nice spot here right around 15. It had a decent break, but you know, once again, you get a couple of days move, and then it just pulls right back to this support level. So maybe this one finds support here at around 15, which is the previous breakout. This one, you know, could become new support, old resistance becoming new support here. So we'll see if that can hold. But yeah, you can see, you know, it pulled back after just a couple of days. So we'll just see how it plays out. Not a bad looking chart though. SONS, another one. Once again, you can see these moves. They try to break and then they just give it all back. So it's just the market we're in right now, guys. When the major indexes figure out which way they want to go, we should have some more sustained movements on these breakouts versus just breakout and fail like we're seeing. So maybe this one actually, if the market picks up, pulls back, or perks back up through 7 would be an area to watch to buy it for continuation. So, but the pattern still looks pretty good, but just not ready at the moment. Like to see it perk up through 7 for a trade. ADXL, another one, had this 6th spot, had to break for one day and then gave it all back. So this was one, I think it was last week I traded and tried to buy this breakout and it just wouldn't go, so I sold it, and good thing, because now it's back here at 570. So once again, guys, you know, you're not the only one if you're struggling. I think last week was flat for me, although I did have CTRL. I did pretty good with that one. That one actually worked. But some of the other ones were just flat trades that didn't get anywhere. But it's okay as long as you know, don't lose too much when the market's nasty, and then when the market does actually provide those opportunities, which are, you know, 3 to 4 times a year. When the market really gets going, then you should be able to do well. So here's CTRL, still a decent looking chart. We had this spot here. I think I got in at like 1603, 04, and then you know, sold it the next day. Had a big run that day, which was good volume. I sold it at 1650. It had ran all the way to 1680, so I sold a little too soon. But now you can see, you know, taking those profits on day trades or on a nice move, you can see where you kind of, you know, you hold it for a swing and then you end up giving it back. So that one actually I traded well. I hold it for one day and then it got the break, and then so now it's pulled back, which, you know, it could probably find some support back here at around 16 area for another entry. If it pulls back to near 16, might be worth a watch for a continuation, as this support area around 16 will likely hold. So I'll keep an eye on this CTRL, still like it. Court, big failure there on this one. You know, kind of had this ascending triangle pattern. It failed. And this is what you know, that was kind of the area that you needed to hold. And then here was kind of the breakout spot right around 11:20. right? And then you can see where it broke that trend line. So that was, if you were still in, that would be the time to, head for the exits. And now it's down here at 9, so pretty nasty breakdown there on the court. VREX, this one was on my radar. I didn't trade it, but it kind of had this bull flag pattern. See this little tight consolidation range here, and so you could have bought it on this day. Had a nice 3-day move, then pulled back. So this was a nice little bull flag trade that you could have made. Ran all the way to 36. So, and then basically created a false breakout here through this 36 area. Got there and then gapped down. So there's a nice pattern though. It would have worked well if you would have traded it. I didn't trade it though. So Zen continues to act well. Still like this pattern. Once again, the market's just kind of sideways and choppy, so these things aren't really getting any momentum. But it's kind of broken through this 28 spot, consolidating just above 28. So, as long as it holds above 28, still looks pretty good. I'd watch this thing to perk up. Could test this 28.70 spot and get going if the market turns on. But this one still looks really good. It's holding above the 50-day. It's kind of breaking out, although just very slightly above that 28 spot. So this one could be preparing for a nice run if the market turns up. I'd keep an eye on this Zen. Okay, so looking at the Canadian marijuana stocks, these were had some really nice runs, right? And we did well with these back when they announced they were going to start legalizing it in Canada, and then they gave it all back, right? So I was watching this thing as it pulled back to 2, thinking 2 was a key breakout, that it should act as a key support. Well, it sure enough gapped down below that, stopped everybody out, including myself. And so because I had entered here on a bounce play, like 204 area, and it sure enough gapped down to so I sold at 193, took like a small loss here, and then it kind of came back above 2 here, which was kind of frustrating. But then so now it's just consolidating here. I still like these longer term for the Canadian medical marijuana stocks. Just watching the sector again, maybe something comes on and these things start to perk up again. But I keep an eye on them, but not seeing anything real compelling at the moment. All right, so this is a home builder here, WLH. Here was a nice flag, had a breakout here through 21. It's on the watch list last week, and so if you look at the depth of this pattern here, 20. Right, so there's 20 to 21 was kind of the depth. So the target on this break, if you'd have bought this one, would have been 22, been a first target. So, but once again, these home builders, longer term look pretty good. You just got to look for key pivot points and key breakout spots to trade them. But that sector does remain one of the strongest sectors, is the home builders and the building material sector. All right, IMMY. So this one is an interesting stock. It basically it fooled me. Had this nice spot here right around 420, 425 looked like a key breakout, and sure enough, this was on the watch list, and it kind of gapped and ran on this day here, which was good. But you can see where it kind of gave it all back by the close. So I entered this one like 440, and kind of like the odds of this thing continuing higher. The next day, it just kind of floundered around, and it broke below like 430. So like 430, I took my loss. I went ahead and cut it. And so and then by the end of the day, it came back on and ran back up. So, this stock actually does look like it's going to go higher. This is a nice bull flag type pattern breakout, at least for now. And so maybe through 450 area, I might entertain a re-entry, strictly for a day trade, unless the market gives me some reason to hold anything longer than that. But here's your target here. If this thing actually, so 360 is kind of the low, 425. So take the difference there, add that to the breakout through 425, and that gives you kind of a first target. And then the next spot would be right here, 466 or 468. So if those are the two key areas too, if this thing actually comes on through 450, those would be key areas to watch for breakouts as well. So, but this is a nice chart. It still looks pretty good, but we'll see how it plays out. Still really like this IMMY. ZGNX, this one hasn't really gotten anywhere. Just kind of sideways here, looking at it through 11. If this thing can get through 11 with some volume, might be worth a trade. It's been consolidating for a while, just below 11, so I guess one to watch here for a move. Nothing happening yet. All right, CBM looked like it wanted to kind of break through this 5750 area. Was a resistance back here, here, and then here. So on this day, on the big green day, I was watching that one for a push, and it just kind of gave it back. So nothing there yet. So maybe it sets up again, but nothing there now on CBM. Kura, another bio, not a bad looking chart. Broke through this $10 area. It's kind of a resistance. Had a nice push on this day. So now it's just kind of consolidating above 10, 1040 area. Might be worth a watch through 1080, 1086, somewhere in there. It's a very thin name too, so keep that in mind. But not a bad looking chart. CSII, I do like the way this one looks. It failed to continue its move on Friday, and this nice push on Thursday, so it looked like it wanted to break through this 29.50, 29.25, right in this area here. So you can see resistance, resistance, kind of a bull flag, pullback, and so now this one through maybe Friday's high or Thursday's high in this area. It might be worth watching for a trade. Overall, the chart looks pretty good. It's holding the 50-day. You know, longer term, it's an up, solid uptrend. So, still like the CSII going forward. Square is, this one looks like it's just still in a consolidation range. I think it had an earnings win on this day. So then it just kind of pulled back. Get the 50-day catching up with it. Tried to make a move on Thursday, kind of pulled back. So still consolidating. Might be worth a watch through 18. If it can break through that. It maybe need to consolidate a little bit longer here. But overall, this is a very strong looking chart. I think fundamentally this Square is a strong company. It's not just a crappy company. It's got good earnings and solid fundamentals. And then let's see, and also the banks. I've seen a lot of banks breaking out. This was one that I tried to trade on Friday and then closed it out for basically a small loss. But this one, the banks, you see the banking sector, this KRE is the regional banking ETF. I've seen a lot of individual banks kind of breaking out with some nice chart patterns. So I figured, trading the ETF might be a good way to kind of get in on that movement in the banks. So what looks pretty good on this chart is this double bottom right around 51.50 area. You can see it broke and rallied and then pulled back and held that low. And so I was thinking this one's going to continue higher, and then it just was sideways. So maybe longer term, one to watch. But I was seeing lots of banks with some good looking charts, so we'll have to just keep an eye on that. Might be better just to trade the individual bank setup than to actually trade the ETF. But there was several of those names, several of those regional banks that were having breakouts and some good patterns. All right, let's see. CYTK, this was a nice one that I missed on Friday, but you can see big breakout on big volume. Look at that volume there, 6 million volume. I've seen this one going, and for whatever reason I just didn't trade it. But see this recent high around 1370. It had this big gap up on this day, kind of grind, and then it got through 1350, and the next spot was 1360, 1370, and you can see it closed near the high of the day on big volume. So this one could see some more momentum, and I do believe this one is an all-time high. Let's see. No, not an all-time high. So, but a multi-year high at a minimum. So you can see this was back in, oh man, let's see, 10-year chart. Let's go back 5 years. So yeah, you can see on the 5-year chart, this is a new 5-year high on this CYTK. So very strong move there on some really big volume. Could see some continued momentum in that name, one to watch. But yeah, had everything lined up. Big volume, break of resistance on big volume, which is what you want to see. So BLMN, seeing these restaurant stocks, several of those look pretty good. This one right around this 20 area, based on the candle wick highs, is right around 20 would be clean, and then based on closing price right around 1980. So if we take a look at this longer term chart, this BLMN, you can see right around 20 is a key area. It's right up there. Go back, you know. So here's a 3-year chart. So right at 20. So if this one can get through 20, it'd be a key level there on BLMN. I really like this chart. It'd be worth a trade there. I'll be watching that one on Monday. Wendy's is another one. Another restaurant stock. Had a nice run back here, and then it's a big run up, and then consolidated. Had some resistance at 14. Tried to break 14 here. Gave it all back. Pulled back, consolidated, and now it broke 14, and it looks like it's trying to break out through 1450, which would be you know, the next resistance right up here. Let's see here. So yeah, so this would be a multi-year high. So so right in here, this 52-week high, you know, 1450. If this one can break through 1450, it'd be worth a trade there. Wendy's, it's got some good volume coming into it. Looks like it wants to make a move out of this basing period here. So Wendy's, I like that one for Monday. Denny's is another one that looks pretty good. Right around, you know, 1250 area. This big pullback, consolidating, and so maybe through this 1250 area might be worth a trade. This one doesn't look as good as, it's got some overhead resistance, but not a bad looking chart with the restaurant sector looking strong. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so for penny stocks, this HUSA looks pretty good here. This one had a pullback and kind of big spike up here, so this one's pretty volatile, but maybe through you know, 3780 area, and then up here at near 40. So this one, it looks like it's kind of setting up here for a push higher. I'd keep an eye on this one for some. It had some decent volume here, some decent volume on Friday, but it is a penny play, and it's pretty volatile. But overall, it looks like it's setting up for a breakout through the 40 area. So I like this one. Be on watch. All right, so Home Depot, once again, going on that theme of home builders, building materials, things like that. You can see Home Depot here is right here at this 150 key area. Right, so this 150 spot looks pretty like a key area. So it bounced, held the 50-day, and could break through 150 and make another leg up. Longer term looks great. It's Home Depot. So LLNW, nice push on Friday, good volume, and you know, taking a look at longer term here, it broke out through basically based on the closing price. It's closed at the highest price in a year, and next spot would be this 270 area, which it closed was a candle wick high, recent candle wick high, and then up here at 289. So we'll see if this one can continue momentum on Monday. Might be worth a trade through the 270 on 270 break for a day trade. All right, so this is a a REIT, real estate investment trust, looks like. So, but it has a nice kind of coiling pattern, ascending triangle, nice spot at 2380, 29 area. Range is getting tight, and not the most volatile stock. Pretty pretty slow mover, but you know, the REITs and some of the utilities still look pretty good. I just rarely trade them because they don't move very much. They're not very volatile. So, but this one does look pretty good for next week, AMH. And let's see here. There's one more. All right. So this AKTX. Very volatile name, right? So this one had a big run up from 8 all the way to 20. Let's see, hit a high of 22.20, looks like. Pulled back and then big ramp up on Friday. So this one, I mean, this was one of those crazy stocks that could triple or quadruple or something. Some of these stocks in the past that have gone from $2 to $50 or whatever. You can see this thing was down in the gutter and then it's just a monster run. So it's more of a short squeeze than it really is anything. But and you can see how it's going to end up probably, big ass monster move and then just fade away into an oblivion, which is probably what's going to happen here. But that doesn't stop this thing from, having some big runs before that. But for a day trade only, look for a breakout through say 22 area and then 22, the high of this candle here, 22.20, and you could see a really monster squeeze on this one. I think it's one to watch for Monday. Once again, day trade only, wouldn't swing hold this thing. But so anyway, that's all I got for this week, guys. Just remember the market's not in the most it's not in a condition to be holding swings. Just the market just still remains choppy, so it's day trading, and unless something happens to where the market really moves, which there's some catalyst next week. Trump is, I think, going to introduce a new healthcare bill. So if you get a new healthcare bill that passes with the tax cuts and all that type of stuff, could really reinvigorate the market, and that'd be kind of good. So we'll just have to see how that plays out, and then maybe we get some new longer term momentum in the market, and we can catch some longer term winners instead of just day trades. But all right, guys, that's all I got. See you guys on Monday. Have a great rest of your Sunday.